How do you dodge incoming fire? Well, by predicting where it's going to go. This is a question that was asked in regards to dodging Kaga torpedoes, which is an awkward question, so we're going to do a roundabout answer to try to deal with it. I've recently been playing the Russian DD line, which, when playing the Russian DD line, you may have a 13-kilometer radius or something, basically, that you're operating off of. So if your destroyer is like 13 kilometers away from the enemy, that's a pretty significant amount of distance for them to try to take a shot at you. So in this case, when you have the enemy ship that swings their guns looking for a piece of that action, what you're going to end up with is the question: what are my ways out? Or what are my others, I guess. So what are the others? Let's put that somewhere here. Maybe what options is what we'll do. So in this case, let's shrink this down. And ultimately, what are your options? It's going to be pretty basic. Your options are going to be something really, really extremely straightforward. Forward, stay, stop, backward, and then you're going to have a modifier of turn, which seems really simplistic, but honestly, a lot of stuff in life is. So forward, stop, back. What does this mean? If your destroyer is sitting here, not moving, and they're taking a shot, well, they're banking. If they shoot directly at you, they're banking that you stay stopped. But you could go forward, you could go back. If you start to reverse, you could stop, you could go forward. Like, you gotta ask yourself, what are your ways, what are your choices? Now, there are some times where you actually limit yourself, that if you're going full back, can you go back further? No, you can't. All you can do is stop or go forward. Which is either gonna mean slowing down or continuing, basically is what you have a choice between. Because you leave yourself only two options. If you're going full forward, then it's slow down or keep going. You only have two options. However, if you're going half speed, you could speed up. If you're going half speed, you could speed up. You could stay the same. You could slow down. So you have three options here as opposed to just go forward or stop. This is going to be similar in terms of what you can do with torpedoes. So what do you mean? So torpedoes are going to be coming in on a broadside, looking to strike you. So here's your battleship. We'll make you green because you're friendly. And you got torpedo planes coming in, looking for a piece of the action. Whatever. They're doing torpedo plane stuff. They're going to be coming in on a broadside line to be able to strike you as such. Now, the question you have is, do you sit still? Do you go forward? Do you go back? One thing you could do is start to go backward and then go full forward. Ultimately, the CV is going to have to try to draw a line as to where they think you are. Where is the center of your ship going to be when the torpedoes get there? If you don't move, they're just going to draw to the center of your ship. If you start reversing, they're going to start leading back. What is this going to do? Is this going to juke all the torpedoes? No, it's not going to juke all the torpedoes. But just like if you're juking shells from a ship that's firing at you from 10, 12, 15 kilometers away, you might juke some of them. So in this case, because you're going to be dropping 4 torpedoes here, you back up but then pull forward, you may have 2 torpedoes zip by, whereas you end up eating 2 on the side. You can fake out people that have your broadside by going forward, backward, up, down, sideways, which is literally the same thing that I do in a Russian DD when people are taking shells at me. I'm making them guess, where am I going to be when the impact is going to happen? And they could guess wrong. And we're banking on them guessing wrong. We're going to try to feed them false information. Oh, I'm backing up. Wait, nope, going forward right around the time they drop so that hopefully we can clear out of the drop zone and miss a fair amount of it. You can do this in Stalingrads against Midway torps. You can do this in battleships against Kaga torps. You can do this in anything that's trying to shoot you by simply surprising. You could turn, but understand that in this case, if they have a full broadside onto you, then turning is probably just going to slow you down and make their shot more accurate. Because when you're turning, you're bleeding speed forward and backward as your ship struggles to induce other ways movement. So we can look at it from a different angle. what if the planes are coming at you from the side? Well, in this case, the torpedoes are going to be thrown, you know, roughly at a side like this. So you've got two options in this case. You could go forward, you could go backward, which again is going to change the lead. Is the lead going to be higher? Is the lead going to be lower? But you can also turn. Now, if you turn out, you might be presenting more of your side to the torpedoes. You could turn in which you present less. It's not about dodging all the torps if you're in a battleship, because you're in a battleship. You are the biggest, slowest, most monstrously easy target in the entire game to hit. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit by shells, you're gonna get hit by torpedoes, you're gonna get hit by bombs, you're gonna get hit by planes, you're gonna get hit by everything, because you're in a battleship. So part of what you do is be available to be shot and draw fire off of cruisers, which really can't take the punishment. Draw fire off of DDs, which, well, theoretically, if a DD is spotted, they're probably just going to shoot it over you because it's so rarely spotted. But you can bribe people into shooting you as opposed to shooting your teammate, which can be good, including carriers. Because while torpedoes don't heal very well, battleships have the best torpedo protection. And you do have healing, which in some tiers, cruisers don't. So there was another question that came in, which is, how do I deal with the Kaga if the Kaga has dropped twice? So the Kaga has come in from like a line way down here, and they've dropped their torpedoes on this line. So you know those torpedoes are coming, and because they dropped so far out, those torpedoes are still moving toward you as you're in a line. Well, okay, so you're trapped in, so you bow into those. Meanwhile, the planes, after dropping, swing over to the side and then come over to try to drop. What can you do? You stay bow into the threat you're aware of, and then you try to use forward and backward movement to juke the threat that you're now locked in on. Realistically, this is the Kaga trying to pin you down to be able to torp you at all. Because if you're in a lower tier ship, like a tier 5, well, not a tier 5, oh, you could fail div in. A tier 6 battleship, for instance, can turn so tightly that you can outturn Kaga drops. You can just nose into them over and over again because you can turn faster than the Kaga planes can set up a drop, which is very obnoxious or very annoying for the Kaga, but at the same time, it's annoying to be torped in the battleship. So, hey, it goes both ways. In this case, he's trying to set you up by pinning you on a line so that he can come in and strike in sideways. In which case, using forward or back jukes, you might take 2 torpedoes or 3 torpedoes. You might take about 10,000 damage, maybe 12. To a battleship. Battleship can take damage like that. Battleship can heal through damage like that. Battleships live taking damage like that. So this is not necessarily be terrifying, and frankly, you can remove this drop and just put enemy ships in. If you're in a battleship and you have 2 enemy ships down here, well, you don't want to angle to them, so you're just going to use the forward and the rear movement to try to reduce the amount of torps that hit you. Is it 4? Is it 3? Is it 2? Is it 1? That's really all you can do. There is something else that you could do, which I'll say, and this is not really in the dodging format. So if we think about what are your options, let's just do this so we can nip this out. It's like erasing a whiteboard slowly. So here are some other options that you might have. So if you're on a ship, obviously you're on a ship because otherwise you wouldn't be in the game. So you're over here, you're doing a thing. Here you are, you're a battleship. If you have a cruiser, well, let's make you green so it looks pretty. You're in a battleship. If you have a cruiser that's over here, where are you weak from? You're weak from this side. Because you don't have any AA, you don't have anything blocking the attack line into you. If instead, you have your cruiser over here, you're weak from this side. What if there's an island here? Then you can't be torped. So you have an island blocking the torp lines to your broadside because torps have to be dropped at range so that they can arm and come in and do something. And then if you have another ship that's on the outside being able to block or cover with AA, all the better. Cruisers are harder to hit with torps for the Kaga than battleships because cruisers are faster and more maneuverable. If the cruiser is at a distance where he's briefly detected by the planes and then goes dark again, the cruiser could even turn or try to juke more aggressively, or simply using the forward-backward stuff. Cruisers probably accelerate faster, so they could juke torps that way. Start reversing, have the person line behind you, and then just full forward. And potentially you could miss the entire drop depending on how the Kaga guy dropped it. But it's worth remembering, before you just think that the omnipotent CV is going to be able to come over and address you and just beat the shit out of you whenever they want to, your teammate positions matter. If there's another battleship that's on the side, if this is a battleship instead of you, odds are the CV goes to that battleship instead of you. If it's a cruiser, he might not be able to get across. If it's a cruiser that's in a smoke screen, then even more, the CV would have to fly over a smoke screen, losing 2, 3, 4 planes to get to you. Now a Kaga can do that, but it's not good resource use. It's not ideal play. Depending on how it's going to go, I mean, a Kaga might do it, but they're not going to be able to do it forever because they're going to lose planes after planes after planes after planes. So more dodging is going to be partially, you know, movement hacks, moving forward, backward, etc. But you can also mitigate incoming fire by looking at your position and how somebody could attack you in the first place, so that you are able to brace or deal with how the attack is going to come in when it does come. So try to be aware of what's around you so that you're not just taken by surprise. Also, you know, talking about that front drop, whatever, if you have another 2 ships down here, how is the Kaga just going to go over all this bullshit to torpedo from the front, swing over to the side, eat all the shit from the smoke cloud, and come in and drop you? It's not feasible. He's going to pick a different target. He's going to strike something that he can strike, not the thing that he can't. Hopefully that was helpful.